Hello, hello, good morning, evening, afternoon, wherever you may be in the world. Just Gary Turner here, founder of Hexo Change. Just wanted to go live today, as yesterday there was quite a flurry of energy and activity around a new game that just came to me around decolonizing our minds through generative listening. Bit of a mouthful, but if you didn't see the post yesterday or join myself and Deborah on the LinkedIn audio yesterday, in essence, what it is a combination of the Without Modernity cards from decolonialfutures.net and Jane Adshead Grant's listening deck. Now, I've played around with this idea before, but there's something really, really powerful around, and what Deborah and I spoke about yesterday was, if you're doing leadership development, if you're doing coaching, if you're looking at organizational development, if you're looking at business strategy, so often we're dealing on the busyness of hit the numbers, next quarterly results, who do we acquire, how do we develop somebody, how do we ensure that we're being inclusive? All of that stuff's really important, right? But if we're not getting under the skin of our humanity in our minds, stories, beliefs, etc., are we ever really going to turn around our climatic and social justice challenges? Now, more and more and more of us are aware of exactly where we're at. I'm sitting in already 30 degrees of heat here in the UK. They reckon it's going to get towards 39. And yes, the last time it happened, 1976, when I was born, but this type of event is becoming more common. The extreme weather is becoming more common, right? So if we're really going to turn around our challenges, like really turn them around, we've got to go way deeper up here and in here in our bodies, is my assertion. And that's where these two packs of cards come together. Again, decolonizing our minds through generative listening. So the idea is I pick a random card, okay? I'm literally going to pick a random card. No idea what this card's going to say. There we go. The card says, how can we materialize welfare without capitalism or socialism? That's the question around decolonizing our mind, or decolonial futures. I'm now shaking Jane's listening deck. I'm going to take a card at random, and that is generative listening. Listening to free the mind rather than directing it, to ignite the finest and freshest thinking and self-expression in another, embodying the 10 skills and 7 principles of listening, which comes back to the thinking environment. So what if today, you with your team, your leadership executive team, you yourself, what if you spent 5 minutes today sitting in through generative listening, through truly listening to expand the capacity in another human being? Give them the space, your colleague, your leader, your wife, your spouse. How can we materialize welfare without having to rely on the belief that it's socialism or capitalism that has to be there for that to happen? So I look at that another way and go, how can we create the conditions for one another to think freely without interruption, with care and inclusivity, ensuring we're reaching the people at the edges, the ones that are too rarely involved in the center of our system, okay? And how do we get their views on how can they imagine a world, a system, welfare, well-being economy, grounded on something more inclusive and generative and not relying on socialism or capitalism? That's just like, it blows my brain. It blows my brain, like the potentiality for every single one of us from two seemingly simple cards. I'd love to know what your thoughts are. Like, I genuinely would love to know what your thoughts are around this. Hey, Trina, good morning. Like, I'm going to do this. I'm really feeling moved to do this every single day until I leave this planet. Because it's literally the universe going, right. Again, I want to remind you what they are. It's a pack of cards from decolonialfutures.net without modernity, combined with Jane Adshead Grant's listening deck. Now, it shouldn't be a surprise for those that follow me or have been connected with me. I've been doing quite a lot of my own work since my own adolescent trauma, being bullied as a kid, aged 12, 13, self-harming, going totally inside myself because I lacked the emotional maturity to name how I felt, to ask for help, to be vulnerable, etc. And these cards are just brilliant because it's literally like there's a third person in the room. For anybody that does coaching or support or guidance of anybody or anything, to have that third party perspective when looking at very deep topics, I just think it's brilliant and it's playful. 2 random cards. Generative listening. How do we materialize welfare beyond socialism and capitalism? That's the question for today. What are you going to do with it? That's my invitation. That's the card's invitation. That's the universe's invitation today. So yeah, I reckon I'm going to do this pretty regularly. I'm going to try and do it daily. Might go to weekly. I don't know. But let's see what happens. But I've got to share. I've got to share it, Trina. I've got to get you on one of my lives at some point, Trina. Yeah, it's simple. We complicate it. We totally do. But I want to name something, right? Which is not something that most white men name. The reason it's simple is if you don't come from a place of supremacy, culture, patterns, right? This is the thing. And I've only learned about this in the last 12 months. I want to share a website now prompted by the generative comments of Trina. Let me find it. If you're watching this live or you're watching this back, I'm probably going to repurpose this as a podcast. Please, please, please check out whitesupremacyculture.info. There's a reason I'm sharing this right now. Please don't get scared by the white supremacy part. This doesn't mean you're running around in a bloody cloaked hood, a member of the KKK, although they, of course, embody this stuff to the extreme. What this is over 600 years of colonial rule, perpetuated colonial rule, and we are all, no matter whether we're black, brown, indigenous, disabled, we have been conditioned. We've been conditioned to run fast as possible, to avoid feeling, to make sure that we are trying to win and beat somebody else, that there's binary thinking, it's either or, that we can't hold complexity. These things have been conditioned over generation after generation after generation. And these cards, those 2 simple cards, are an opportunity to put the handbrake on and go, actually, those stories my parents told me, that the workplace are telling me, that my colleagues are telling me, my family are telling me, that the education system is telling me, like, I don't have to just take it as gospel. I can challenge and imagine a new system beyond where we are. I can imagine a new system where I'm allowed to hold space for another human being that doesn't look and sound like me, to allow them to process their thoughts without getting interrupted. Like, we've all got this. We've got every bit of this potentiality within us, but we have to want to show up more fully. We have to want to engage with people that don't look and sound like us. We have to come from a place of self-worth, right? If we don't believe that we are good enough to imagine something anew, then we won't do it. So, anyway, I'm getting a little bit passionate now, so I'm going to bugger off soon. Yeah. Oh, Trina, got to share that one as well. Yeah, the patriarchal structural doesn't want this. Absolutely. And morning, Elise. Good morning. Anyway, I want to get more people involved in this. I'm going to throw it out to Trina, who's with me briefly, or has been. Elise, like, would you be open to joining me in a practice once in a while to actually discuss 2 randomly picked cards, one from With Without Modernity, Decolonial Futures, and one from the listening deck? Like, I hope this coming through my energy today, despite me absolutely melting in nearly 35 degrees of heat. Like, there is so much potentiality. It's a bit of fun. We've got a third party in the room. Let's just really allow ourselves to question the unquestionable. Yeah? To truly look at the systems that perpetuate so much harm, and that I perpetuate, that you perpetuate. We all perpetuate this stuff because we're not challenging. We're not finding one another to have this type of dialogue. Imagine new systems from a place of connection, generative listening. We can, you, Trina, me, Elise, all of us, we have got this power to drive change. We can start it today. No one's stopping us. No one is stopping us. So there we go. Whew, I'm feeling quite light after that. Thank you for joining me, Trina. Thank you, Elise. Thanks, everybody. I could go on forever, but That'd be boring for you. And I do actually have a meeting to go to shortly. But let's just have a little bit, quick bit of fun. Let's just try two more. Two more random ones. I'm going to take a picture of them. One more little share, just while I've got you, Trina and Elise. Okay, let's see what the listening deck shuffles out now. Random card. Appreciate others. Okay? So share specifically, succinctly, and sincerely a quality you see in another. Okay? How often do you do that? Sincerely, succinctly, and specifically appreciate somebody else. And I will go a step further. Somebody that doesn't look and sound like you, that you probably wouldn't want to normally do that with. How can you appreciate someone? An equally human being today, despite how they're acting or behaving. Now let's get the other card. I'm giving the Decolonials a shuffle. I have to do this again. This is a call to composting responsibility. Calls to responsibility. So this will mean different things to different people. What that comes to me, I'd love to know what your thoughts are, Trina or Elise or anybody else that's there. This is a call to composting responsibility in line with appreciating others. Ooh. What that is for me is there is so much potential. Like, what do you even class as responsibility? What does responsibility mean to you? And actually, for me, what that says, this is a call to composting responsibility from a decolonisation point of view is, you've got to be responsible for yourself first. If you're not taking accountability and responsibility for how you show up, how can you be responsible to anybody else? That's what I take away from that. And at the same time, how do I appreciate others through that process? How can I appreciate other people whilst realizing we are connected, we're also very different, and I have a different privilege maybe to a lot of other people, even though I'm part of the global minority, not majority. Really cool. Isn't it fun how this does this? And I want to get you on here. I'd love to have a wider conversation with you, Trina. Yeah, Black, Indigenous, people of colour have practiced this forever. And I'm sure, and that's part of the problem of white supremacy culture patterns, right? Is we don't hear these stories that Trina's sharing. We don't hear these stories that people of colour, Indigenous people, people that don't look like me, we don't hear enough of stories that are non-white based. That is the problem. It's my education, it's the workplace. Time to change that, people. So I'll be in touch, Trina. Elise, thank you for joining me, and I hope this has offered some sort of value as to, and again, we've all got a perspective on these cards, right? There's no right or wrong, and that's why I'm really keen to get more people involved in it, because this is just my whitish lens on this. What's other people's lens? So, hope to speak to you. Take care, hope you found some value in this, and why not buy your own pack of the modernity cards, the listening deck cards. I'm not getting commission, I just think they're a brilliant combination. Have a great day, one and all. Much love, stay safe, and also drink your water.